All right, the Joe Kent fiasco continues, and I want every single person that have disagreed with me in the past, I want you to listen to this video clearly. And those who support me and understand, listen to the video clearly before you make a judgment on my stance on Joe Kent.
We shouldn't tolerate any leakers in the administration, particularly regarding classified national security.
And I think this speaks to the broader issue. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who's in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the secretary described, and later on the president, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events.
This wallet is slim, modern, and it actually is built for the way I live my life today. And it holds up to 12 cards plus cash, but somehow it stays incredibly compact. And it's not just about looks. These wallets are built to last. Ridge makes them with premium material like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber, so they're tough and they're also lightweight. And plus, they've got RFID blocking technology, which helps protect your cards from digital pickpocketers. In today's world, that kind of protection matters. They've got over 50 different styles and colors, so you can pick the one that fits your lifestyle. And with more than 100,000 five-star reviews, it's clear people love these things. Every Ridge product also comes with a lifetime warranty, which means this could literally be the last wallet you ever buy. Right now, Ridge is having their once-a-year anniversary sale. Head to ridge.com to get up to 40% off. That's up to 40% off at ridge.com. That's ridge.com. And after you get the checkout, make sure you tell them that your boy sent you. First and foremost, I want everybody that's watching this to listen to me. First of all, I never said Joe Kent's military service was worthy of being a coward or being called a coward. I never called his service a coward. I think anybody that's serving in the military is an American hero. But that does not mean that a person who was an American hero cannot do something cowardice. The problem I have with him is not that he disagreed with the Iranian war. If you're working in the administration and you disagree, you should leave. If you don't believe in what Trump is doing, you should leave. But when your documentation that you write says Iran wasn't a threat at all to the United States of America, and it's just Israel in the lobby, to me, that's disrespectful to the men and women that put that uniform on and are willing to die for American values and exceptionalism. And then you don't only do that. You have a reputation in the administration of being a leaker. And an investigation into you leaking was already established before you quit. So the real question is, did you quit because you were being investigated and you knew it was going to come out? So instead of you getting caught, you want to beat them to the punch, say all this crazy stuff to get momentum going, and then come to find out that you could have possibly been leaking information. And then what does he do? He go on Tucker Carlson show. The first thing he do when he leave is go on Tucker show. Listen to what he said. And you tell me, does this sound genuine? Because I'm going to interject in areas where he contradicted himself and where everybody that's listening should ask this basic question. Why are you saying this, but PXF isn't saying it? PXF served in the military as well. He was decorated in the military as well. He's a complete dud. All the people that are coming out and saying they were in a briefing, intelligence briefing, that said this, and you're the only one saying it, and you weren't even in the intelligence briefing. Play the clip.
We knew not that Iran was going to attack. He did not say that.
Right.
He said we knew that Israel was going to attack Iran, and in retaliation for those attacks by Israel against Iran, Iran might attack American forces. So the imminent threat that the Secretary of State is describing is not from Iran, it's from Israel.
Exactly.
All right, I'm going to interject on this one. How do you take one phraseology from one press conference and dictate that the Secretary of State, the totality of the briefing and the reason he made his decision is because of this one little statement that you heard in a small segment of his conversation that he had to the press? and you formulate a whole idea about this. Not what Trump said, not what PXS said, not what everybody else is saying to you, not what the briefing is. This is documented briefing that intelligence is telling us that they are imminent threat to attack American interests and personnel, which is what we saw them do when the war first started. Finish.
And I think this speaks to the broader issue. Who is in charge of our policy in the Middle East? Who is in charge of when we decide to go to war or not? In this case, with what the secretary described, and later on the president, later on the Speaker of the House, and the way the events played out, the Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate. Now, I think there's a potential there where we could have done several different things. We could have simply said to the Israelis, no, you will not. And if you do, then we will take something away from you. I think that it's fine that we offer defense to Israel. But when we're providing the means for their defense, we get to dictate the terms of when they go on the offensive. Otherwise, they stand to lose that relationship. And the Israelis felt emboldened that no matter what they did, no matter what situation they put us in, that they could go ahead and take this action, and we would just have to react.
Now, where is he getting this information from? He's not saying in an intelligence briefing, I got this. He's giving an opinion. You don't give when you're making an authoritative statement like this, and you have worked in the government and you're claiming to have authority on this topic, as if because you were in the government, you have insight, but you're making up stuff that's your opinion hypothetically. Where did you hear that Israel made the first move and decision? Are you talking about something you watched on the news? Then you don't have no more authority to talk about this than somebody else. Were you in the briefing that you heard this? What are you saying? Next clip.
But also, it just shows that there was a lobby pushing for us to go to war. I know we'll get into that later on in the statement, but we had a real potential, I think, knowing what we know of the Iranians and how they react, and in particular, how they react to President Trump's leadership. The Iranians, under President Trump's leadership, especially in his second term, they have shown that they take a very calculated approach to the escalation ladder. For instance, in the lead up to the 12-day war before Midnight Hammer, the Iranians didn't attack us. They were engaged in negotiations with us. When President Trump came back into office, they stopped their proxies who were attacking us under the Biden administration because they knew Biden was weak. They stopped their proxies from attacking us as well. So they knew President Trump was someone who wanted to negotiate, but more importantly.
Okay. Now, do you hear what he just said? The Iranians, when Joe Biden was in office, they had their proxies attack us, but they stopped their proxies. So were they a threat to America or not? You're alluding to the fact that they had utilized their proxies to attack America, and then they stopped their proxies from attacking America. Trump came in, they wanted to negotiate. When you say they're not a threat, that means there should be no material evidence that proxies are even a thing in the first place that becomes a threat to America's interests. But he goes on to say they are somehow negotiating under Trump. They become rogue under Biden, and they become tame under Trump. And you telling me you know better than Trump the way to react to that? Let him finish.
They knew that President Trump was not someone to mess with because he killed Qasem Soleimani. He killed Abu Mahdi Mohandas. He had defeated ISIS. They knew that President Trump was a man of action. He is militarily strong. And so they said, before we take an action, we need to make sure that it's calculated. So I think in this scenario, even if the Israelis told us we're going to strike on this date at this time, and we didn't, try to negotiate with the Israelis and say, hey, we'll take something away from them, I think we still could have back-channeled to the Iranians and said, hey, if something happens here in the next couple of days, it's not us. We're still serious about negotiations, and we don't want to escalate this because it's well known what the Iranians' plans were. We knew that they were going to hit potentially our bases in the region, potentially our allies. We knew about the Straits of Hormuz. All of these things, I think, were fairly well known.
Now, out of all this, and I didn't watch the full interview, somebody please send me a clip. Out of all this, what is the purpose of Israel doing that to Iran? Like, why they need us to do it so bad? Where our country, our president, somehow, out of all these years of him being Trump and we love Trump, and he's never gotten us into a war, a substantial war, and all of a sudden he's turned to bend the knee to Israel, who needs our funding for their military. Like, tell me who do you think control who? You think because Miriam Adelson or somebody is giving Trump campaign money that somehow he's going to forego all of his beliefs, all of what he stands for. He's no longer a real person. He's just a proxy, or he's just being controlled. And when that man ain't never been controlled by nobody. But all of a sudden, Donald Trump in his second term is controlled by Benjamin Netanyahu. Like, make this make sense. And they need us to survive. I'm talking about the people who are here for a reason and who are open-minded to listen even if you disagree with me. I'm talking to you. I'm telling you guys, it is a spiritual battle. When people begin to fall off the cliff to hate Israel and hate Jews, they all fall off the cliff mentally. I knew this guy when he said it was Israel. I said he one of those people. He runs to Tucker Carlson's podcast. He just like all the other ones that's falling off the cliff. Listen to what he say about Charlie Kirk's shooter. And tell me this is not the same mental illness that Tucker has and all the rest of these people. Roll the clip.
The current president was the subject of a near successful assassination attempt, like recently.
Yeah.
And we're just not going to look into, very obviously, or divulge information that everyone knows they have. For example, the surveillance tape from the shooting range at which Thomas Crooks trained, because it would answer the question, was he training with somebody? And if so, who? They have that footage and they won't release it. What could possibly?
Time out. They have the footage. That means that they investigated it. That means that the government took the footage. So they have the footage. They've reviewed the footage. You want us to release it to the public so you can have something to talk about. That's not how investigations work, because you can find out whatever you want and you can't arrest nobody, Tucker. If they didn't have the video at all and they weren't looking at it, that'd be different. But they got the information. But you don't want them, you want them to release it to the public so you can have content. Finish.
B, the explanation for that.
I know what the result is. The result is people come to their own conclusions, and this is where like crazy conspiracy theories come from. And then those conspiracy theories usually are easy to debunk or make the people saying them sound crazy. So then the actual question never gets answered.
Right? I'm sorry. Can you say that for people who haven't lived in Washington? Okay, I try to explain this to people all the time because this has been ongoing since at least the Kennedy assassination. But this is a very serious and reoccurring thing. It's a tactic. And you just explained it better than anyone I've ever heard. Can you just do that again if you can recall it from memory?
Yeah, I mean, so basically you give no information whatsoever on something that's obvious that there should be information. Like you outlined, like there's potentially footage of Crooks at the shooting range. Again, Police 101, go get the tapes. Let's figure it out. If you don't want to address that question, then you go silent on it and you say, you can't ask that question, which then creates people who come out of kind of nowhere and they start drawing their own conclusions.
Right.
Knowing the way the internet works, I mean, half of them, if not more, are probably going to be so far off in left field and made by legitimate kooks or bots that then you can just be like, oh, these people asking these questions about that tape at the video range.
It's space
They're
aliens.
All crazy conspiracy theorists. They say it's a UAP or whatever. And so then you've just, diverted all attention away from the thing that you're trying to conceal, and now everyone's focused on the crazies.
Man.
And then the second someone asks a legitimate question, they're crazy.
I think you're stupid. Like, to people that don't have a thinking brain or they don't take the time to process things and look at both sides, they think that what they hear from Tucker and them makes sense. You're telling me that Donald Trump was almost killed by a guy. He had some on Charlie Kirk too. I want to play the one on Charlie Kirk too that Joe Kent said. You telling me that Donald Trump almost got killed by a guy? He wins, or he's in office, and you telling me Trump is stopping the investigation? Everybody on our team is running all of it. Pam Bondi, everybody, and Trump's killer is being covered up by Trump. Now, if Biden was in office, then I can see somebody saying, maybe, just maybe, our people are running all the investigations. And you're telling me our people are okay, Trump is okay with covering up the person who tried to kill him and ended up killing an American citizen at his rally. And you're telling me that Trump don't want no justice for that. And he just want to cover it up because he's a part of what? Now you got to blame Israel or something. Put two and two together. You say that's weird. Well then, okay, all right. I think I can have a reasonable conclusion. This is what he said about Charlie Kirk's death. 106.
So we knew each other. And the last time I saw Charlie Kirk on this earth was in June in the West Wing, in the stairway. And I said hi to him, and he looked me in the eye, and he said very loudly, and it's a small, you've been in the West Wing, it's small, it's a tight space. And he said, Joe, stop us from getting into a war with Iran. Very loudly.
He was single-minded.
And he walked off, and he went, I believe, into the Oval. So when one of President Trump's closest advisors, who is vocally advocating for us to not go to war with Iran and for us to rethink at least our relationship with the Israelis, and then he's suddenly publicly assassinated, and we're not allowed to ask any questions about that, it's a data point. It's a data point that we need to look into.
And ladies and gentlemen, Exhibit 300. This is what I'm saying. This guy says Charlie Kirk screams at him, not verified by anybody. Y'all, but a lot of y'all don't want verification because you want confirmation bias. Nobody else hears it but him. He's saying that Charlie Kirk told him that, but he mustn't tell Trump that. So you're telling me Charlie Kirk is one of Trump's closest advisors, but he don't listen to Charlie because he listened to Benjamin Netanyahu. Is that what you're trying to say? And you're telling me that Charlie Kirk, whom Trump loved, whom Trump spoke at his memorial service, whom Trump has been supportive of Charlie and went to Turning Point events anytime Charlie asked him, Charlie used to say that he can call Trump any day, anytime. That guy gets killed and Trump don't want to know who killed him. That guy gets killed and he want to cover up that Israel did it. Do you really believe what you're saying? And the guy that killed Charlie is writing on his forums saying that he's going to kill Charlie. And talking to his family about how he hates Charlie. And that it's his only chance to get Charlie at an event where Charlie was a sitting duck. But it's somebody else somewhere in the ether that's concocting all of this because you need it to be Israel. Have you ever noticed these people have no evidence? Like I want to position this real quick. I got to get to Jorge. I want you to understand this real quick. The person who shot Charlie is arrested right now. We know he shot Charlie. There's witnesses that saw him on the roof. There's witnesses, or at least evidence, DNA on the gun. The gun belonged to his grandpa. There's a phone call record of his dad who admitted to the FBI that he had asked him about the gun that belonged to his grandpa. You have surveillance video of him entering the staircase, his parents individually identifying him as the person that was on video in the staircase. You got messages between him and his lover about what he did. You can say it sounds crazy all you want. That's still evidence. You got video of him in the Dairy Queen at the time of the shooting. During the time of the shooting, puts him in the area 200 miles away from where he lived. Why would he be there if he wasn't involved? Then he turned himself in. And we run all the investigations, our people, the ones who love Charlie, the ones who support Charlie. Kesh Patel was a friend of Charlie, always on the show. Don Jr. was a friend of Charlie. But so everybody that knew Charlie, most people would die for Charlie. Or you think it's us that's looking the other way saying, I know somebody else killed Charlie, but I don't want to see it. I cried on my live stream podcast when Charlie died, genuinely. And I don't cry. And you telling me that I don't want to know who killed Charlie? That I care about Israel more than I care about Charlie? I do not. I've been to Israel once. I'm not Israeli. I'm not a citizen there. I don't care about Israel in comparison to our country. But somehow we trying, everybody covering up but the 3 or 4 nut jobs. And then you watch them. It's all Israel. They're attacking Erica Kirk. Don't y'all see it? They're attacking Trump now. They attack America now. The war is bad. Why? Because it's Israel. I don't know how people don't see it.